Hey everyone, Mr. Montgomery again, and today we're on lesson 6.3. We are on page 261. So if you don't have this page open in your robot turtle book, do me a favor and make sure you pause the video and get to that page. Open up your robot turtle book. Alright, but if you already have it open, let's get going. Alright, just erase that so I have a little bit of space if I need it. Okay, now guys, what we're doing today is we are going to take a list of data, right? So let's say that this girl asked every single person in her classroom which one they would rather eat, corn or peas. And this is a list of what everyone said. First person said corn, then peas, then peas, then corn, then peas. So each time you see the word, this is someone else's vote. Okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 12 votes altogether. So first thing we need to do is we're going to refresh our memory and make a tally chart with all this information. So first, let's count all the corn. 1, 2. I'm going to make a little check mark next to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we have 7 votes for corn. Before we go on, I want you to draw 7 tally marks for me. Now, we went over this for 2 days. You guys should know how to make a 5 and then keep counting on and making tally marks. So let's practice and refresh our minds. Go ahead, try this one on your own. How do we make 7 tally marks the correct way? Alright, let's see and check your work. Make sure you made the tally marks the correct way. Okay, so let's go ahead. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm about to put a 5th one. Do I put it over here or do I go across? I need to go across when I make 5. So 5. And now I keep counting on until I reach 7. 6, 7. Alright? And to check your work, you can always count each line by itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, let's go ahead and count our peas. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 votes for peas. Now go ahead and draw 5 tally marks the correct way next to where it says peas. Alright, did you give it a shot? Let's check your work. Okay, so 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for that 5th tally mark, we go across. Make a little bundle. Now, before we go on, how could we make a picture of corn? Can you guys think of an easy way that we can make a picture of corn up here? If you're having some trouble, I'll show you. I'll give you a really easy one. So just get a pencil, right? And we're just going to make an oval, like a skinny oval. You're going to make a line going up and have a bunch of lines going across. It kind of looks like corn a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay? Now how could we show peas? What's something really easy that we could draw to show peas? Oh, this is extra easy. We could just, if you want, you can get like a green crayon and just make a couple of green circles, like 3 green circles would be good for peas. Alright? Nothing crazy. And that's it. Now let's take this data and put it in our picture graph. So this first top one here with the letter C, this is corn. And we already talked about how we could draw corn. Just make like a little oval. 1 or 2 lines going down. and a bunch of lines going across. Right? And that's it. So we had 7 votes for corn. Show me how many pictures of corn we should draw for our picture graph. I'll give you guys a good minute to try this on your own, and make sure you're keeping count as you draw. Okay, if you're still working, that's fine, but pause the video, hit the spacebar if you're still working. If you're done, let's check your work. Okay, so remember, when we make a picture graph, we have to make sure we just put one little drawing in each square for every tally mark that we have. Now, we went over this lesson very thoroughly last time for when we did lesson 6.2, so you guys should know how to do this. But just in case you forgot and you weren't too sure what to do here, I'm going to show you. So we have 1, remember we need 7. 2, I'm just going to make some ovals. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now let's see how I just drew one picture in each little square for every single tally mark that I had. We had 7 tally marks, so I have 7 pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. And I know I didn't really put much detail because I'm trying to draw very quick here. That's okay. There we go. Okay, now do the same thing with peas. We had 5 votes for peas. Show me how we can do that for our picture graph down here. Show me the correct number of votes for a picture graph. Alright, if you're still working, that's okay. Pause the video as always and finish your work, take your time. But if you're done, let's make sure you drew the right amount. Now we mentioned earlier that we just make 3 little circles to show peas, and we have 5 votes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? Again, this is nothing super special. It doesn't have to be. When we're making a picture graph, we just want to make sure it's a very quick picture so we're not wasting a lot of time. And last week, or last lesson, I'm sorry guys, last lesson, we were really talking about making sure we understood the words most and least. So if you were to be asked which one has the most votes, which one would you point to? Would you point to the corn or the peas? Go ahead and point to your screen right now which one has the most votes. I really hope you're all pointing at the corn right now because it has the most votes. How do we know it has the most votes? We know it has the most because, first off, if we look at the picture graph, we see it has more pictures. If we look at the tally marks, we can see it has more tally marks than the other one. But today we're going to be focusing on questions that are going to be a little bit more tricky. Not a ton. It's still going to be pretty easy, and you guys are going to fly right through this. You're going to be asked how many more votes or how many less votes. And for that, we just compare two different areas. So if we're comparing corn and peas, and someone says, well, how many more people voted for corn than peas? Well, this is really easy to figure out. You look where one of them stops, right? We can see that the peas stop here. So anything after this are the more votes. And we see that there's 1, 2. We have 2 more votes for corn. And that's all there is to it. If someone were to say, well, how many fewer people voted for peas than corn? Again, we're just comparing numbers. That's not a huge deal. Again, you just look where one of them ends. You see the peas ends here. And you just kind of count your jumps backwards. How many less do we have? Well, 1, 2. There's 2 less votes for peas than corn. They're kind of very similar questions, guys. Don't let them confuse you too much. Don't overthink it. Again, whenever you hear those two terms, how many more or how many fewer, you're just comparing the two numbers. You can even show this in a subtraction sentence. We know that there's 7 corn and 5 peas. When we're comparing, it's the same thing as subtracting. How many more people voted for corn? Well, subtract these two numbers. It's 2. And then when someone says how many fewer, it's the same answer. There are 2 more votes for corn and 2 fewer votes for peas. And we're going to be dealing with these kinds of questions a lot today. The really cool thing is, later on, there's charts that are just done for us, and all we have to do are answer the questions. How awesome is that? So we're probably going to fly through today's lesson pretty quick. And let's just get right down to it. Let's go on to the next page. Let's go to page 262. All right, everyone, here is page 262. And they already made a picture graph for us, so we don't even have to make one, which is pretty awesome. But we have to answer a few questions about it. So we're going to be doing a lot of comparing numbers and comparing, more specifically, milk, water, and juice. So number 1, I know it's kind of already done in your book, but we're going to go over it together anyway so you get what I'm saying, what we're going to have to be doing with this picture graph. It says, how many more students like milk than juice? So we're comparing milk and juice, okay? So we got to find those. Here's milk, it's at the top, and juice is at the bottom. Now what I do is, I always think to myself, which one is shorter? And I see it's juice, right? So I don't always draw a line, but I usually have like an imaginary line. And I count on from there to see how many. And I'm just counting the milks. 1, 2, 3. So there are 3 more pictures of milk than juice. So our answer is 3. All right, does that make sense? I'm hoping so. Let's read number 2. How many fewer students like water than milk? So we're comparing water and milk. Okay, first let's find the water. Right here. And milk is right up here. So remember, it doesn't matter if they're saying fewer or more. Either way, you need to find the difference. And when we have a difference, we are subtracting, really. But what I like to do is just count on, since we have this really cool picture graph. All right? So I will draw this line here. It's usually imaginary for me. And now count on the milks after the line to see how many more pictures of milk there are than water. So go ahead and count and then write the number on the line right down here. All right, did you give it a try? If you're still working on it, don't worry, take your time, pause the video, okay? And then when you're ready, hit play. If you're done, Let's see if your answer is correct. So remember, we're just counting how many milks after this line, because this line shows it helps us see how many people voted for water, but we need to see the difference. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we had 5 additional votes for milk. So we could also say there were 5 less votes for water. That's it. So don't let those words fewer and more confuse you when we're talking about picture graphs. Either way, you will have the same answer, I promise. All right, so 5. So hopefully you had 5 for your answer. If not, just make sure you're taking your time. Don't rush. Okay? Let's do number 3. How many more students like juice than water? So we're just comparing juice and water. And another hint, guys, I forgot to mention this. We know we're comparing because this word then. Whenever you see the word then, it means you're comparing two things. That's it. So comparing the water and juice, I'll draw my little imaginary line where the shorter one stops. Now go ahead and count the pictures of juice that they have that shows more than water. So go ahead and count the extra pictures and write the number on the line. Okay, if you're still working on it, pause the video, take your time, and then hit play when you're ready. If you're done, let's check your work. So we know that water stops here, so we're counting the pictures after this line. And we're counting the juice. 1, 2. So we had 2 more juice than water. And that's it. That's all there is to it, guys. So don't overthink this. I'm not trying to confuse you. I know sometimes some friends I'm explaining stuff to, they overthink things, and that can kind of confuse you a little bit. So just remember, when we're comparing two different choices on a picture graph, find the shortest one. So in this case, it's the water. And we're going to count after that to see how many we would need to get the same number. So we would need 1, 2 more. Okay? And then if we're comparing water and milk, we would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. If we're comparing the milk and juice, I could draw that line here and find out how many more I need to get the same number as milk. I need 1, 2, 3. Okay? That's all we're really doing. So let's go to the next page, 263. And we're going to change it up just a little bit. Alright, here's page 263. Now, we're going to be kind of skipping around a couple pages, so we're going to do a little bit on this page, and we will do a little bit on the next page. Now, this is your independent work, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read each one at a time. After I do that, I want you to pause the video and attempt to do that one on your own. Now, for this part, I am not giving answers. This is your independent work only. Okay? And this is all stuff that we now know how to do, especially this picture graph down here. Don't let this scare you, okay? We've done picture graphs for, this is our second day, so it's not a big deal. So first thing you're going to do for number 4 is you're going to take the data in this tally chart and create a picture graph for the colors red, blue, and purple. This is a picture graph showing people's favorite colors. So some friends liked red, some friends liked blue, and some friends liked purple. So go ahead and get those crayons out, and you can, when you're drawing these pictures, don't go too crazy, guys. Like for red, just make like a little red line, just like that. That's all you gotta do. For blue, again, just make like a little blue line. Doesn't have to be anything special. And then same thing for purple. Make sure that your picture graph matches the data in the tally chart. We have 4 red tallies, so you should only be drawing 4 red crayons. Okay, so now pause the video, take your time, and create your picture graph. When you're all done, hit play. Okay, if this video is still playing, that means that you are all done the picture graph. I'm now going to read number 5. How many more students like purple than red? So go ahead, you can pause the video and answer that question if you need to pause it. Next, I'm going to read question number 6. Which color is the favorite of the most students? So this whole last part, guys, I don't like the fact that they're making this too wordy. Let's make this question a lot easier. Which color is the favorite? Question mark right there. And we talked about the word favorite and why it's important. So you guys should be able to answer this pretty easy. Which one's the favorite? So if you finished those questions and the chart, let's go to page 264. I will read those questions that you will also do independently. Okay, so on this page, they did the tally chart and the picture graph for us. So we don't have to do any drawing or anything. All we're going to do is practice interpreting data. All that means is that we are going to look at the information that they give us and use that information to answer questions. That's it. So for number 9, there's 2 parts. I'm going to read one part at a time, and after I read it, make sure you pause the video so you can answer the question and take your time with it. So let's start with this first part up here. It says, how many friends have dogs for pets? So you're going to look at this picture graph, find dogs, and then count how many friends have dogs for pets, and write that down on the line. Write down that number. If you're all done that one, I'm going to read the second part of this section. It says, how many friends have fish for pets? Again, you're just taking the information from this chart. Count the tally marks, write it down on the line. That's it. And next, I'm going to be reading each part of question number 10 over here. And for this, we are going to use this picture graph about dogs, cats, and fish. I'm going to make a little line in between so you know that there's 2 different questions. You see it a little bit easier. I'm going to read this first question up top. How many more friends have dogs than fish? Again, you're comparing 2 things. I'll give you a quick hint. Here's the imaginary line. How many more dogs are there? Right? Not too crazy. And remember, guys, after I read it, make sure you pause the video and take your time. I don't want anyone feeling rushed. If you're all done, I'm going to read the next part of this area, this section, this question here. It says, how many fewer friends have cats than dogs? Again, guys, it doesn't matter if they say fewer or more. Either way, you're just counting the pictures, how many more pictures there are. Here is your imaginary line. How many more dogs than cats? That's it. Write it down on the line. That's all, guys. Once you're finished, if you're in my classroom, that is, you're going to put your workbook, your robot turtle book, on the back table, make a nice neat pile, and I will check these after school today. Also, I did put up an IXL assignment. If you're in my room, make sure you work on that. Anyone else that is not in my room, make sure that if you're watching this video in class or something, check in with your teacher, ask him or her if there is an assignment they would like you to do, because that is totally up to them. But hopefully this lesson wasn't too tough for you guys. I feel like this was a kind of like a fun lesson, a little bit easier. Didn't make our heads hurt or anything like that. But if you have questions, please make sure you ask me or your teacher if you're in a different class. So hopefully you guys get it. Hopefully it wasn't too crazy and that you had fun. I'll see you guys next time and have a great day.